is probably what other Jimny drivers are also going to ask. And, you know, our main platform is here. We want to help Jimny drivers with making the right choices and accessories and all that type of stuff. Or if you've got questions about your new purchase, that we can help you out. So we are recording this call, and we will be posting this on Facebook as well, because we want to help the bigger Jimny community as well. So, and now my wife is also here. She's the one that shoots all the videos while I'm driving. So she does all the hard work. I just do the editing afterwards. And what we're going to do today is, I see you guys have got good Zoom manners already. You're on mute. So if you want to ask your question, just raise your hand under the reactions, and then Anel will prompt us which questions are going to be next, and we'll do it in that manner. So one with the first hand up, you can go for your first question, and let's see if I can give you a good answer that can help you out.
Fantastic. Doe, your question's up.
Okay, I'll break the ice. I wanted to ask about I'm calling it the gearbox whine. I've quickly read up about it. It seems that it's normal. Is there something that you should look out for, or is it just part of the Jimny? Yeah, you know, a lot of guys and new owners experience this. I've got it on my Jimny as well. I took my Jimny in for repairs at Suzuki, where they actually replaced some gears and bearings in the transfer case as well as the chain. So what causes that noise is actually the transfer case chain has a bit of slack on it. And as you take off in first and then second, you hear that sound. So that's just that chain that has a little bit of slack on it. And as soon as it gets power to the transfer case, you will hear that whine. I did check with Suzuki. They say everything is normal on this one. Nothing to be too concerned about. Okay, that's good to hear. Thanks.
Okay, 100%.
So I see Richie's got a question in the chat, so I'm just going to refer to that. Can we get your thoughts on the breather kits? The breather kits. Guys, if you're planning to drive your Jimny through water, I know nobody plans this, but with the bad weather we've been having the past few years during summer, you're gonna encounter water somewhere. And what these breather kits do is, it's actually a pipe that's connected to your diffs and your transfer case, and it basically lets the diff pull in air instead of water. So when you're driving, your diffs gets very hot, and when you enter water with that cold water hitting the diff, what happens a lot of times, it's got a small cap on top of the diff, and that closes up, and then it sucks in water through the wheel bearings. So what the breather keys does is it overrides that cap, and then they run a pipe into your engine bay, and that allows the diff to suck in air instead of sucking in water through the wheel bearings. And the same concept works on your transfer case as well. A lot of cars come out standard with that. The Jimnys don't. The Gen 3 didn't. The Gen 4 doesn't. And, you know, good practice is always to let the diffs cool down a bit before you enter water. But if your diffs are hot and you just go into water without a breather kit, that small little cap will close. It will pull water in through the wheel bearings, and that water gets into your diff. Water ingress in your diff is not going to be a major issue, but over the long term, it does cause rust and weak spots on all the components in your diff. So you want to get that water-soaked oil. Normally, if you take out the oil plug and you drain it, the oil will be milky. Then you know you've got water in there. And the guys, it's a big fix, because you actually have to flush that diff a few times to get that water out. And if water stays in there, it causes rust on those components because they heat up and they cool down a lot, and that causes weak spots on side shafts, the bearings inside the diff, as well as your gears in the diff, and you don't want that. So the breather kit that I suggest to everyone to use is the Dassault one. The guys from Dassault actually gave me one. I've got it installed in my car. I did a few deep water crossings with it, and thus far I'm really happy with it. And like I said, this is, you don't know when you're going to need to drive through water, and it's better to have that than not to have it, especially if you're planning overlanding trips where you don't know what you're going to encounter on that trail.
Does that answer your question, Richie?
Yes, thank you very much.
100%.
Okay.
I've got a chat question from Doe. He says, any recommendations on a throttle controller, and is it a worthwhile investment?
I enjoyed the throttle controller. You guys know I've got the Power Plus throttle controller on my Jimny. What it does for me is it doesn't increase the performance. It just adjusts the sensitivity of your accelerator. It doesn't affect your warranty or anything. So it's a plug-and-play system. It plugs into the little cable on your accelerator that goes to the ECU, and basically it overrides the sensitivity of that throttle. Now, if you do a lot of 4x4ing, like I do in different terrains, it's nice to have that throttle controller. I drive mine permanently on eco mode. It does save me a bit of petrol in city driving, that type of situations, and off-road, it's got a lot of benefits. So driving over rocky terrain, you don't want your accelerator to be too sensitive because your foot is moving on the accelerator the whole time in bumpy situations. So if I set that to eco mode, it's not as sensitive, and the car doesn't keep on jumping and rocking all over the place while you're driving over big rocks. So that's the positive for me out of that, and the bit of petrol savings it does give to you in city driving. I did do 3 videos on that throttle controller. So if you want more in-depth information, it's all in that video. Have a look at those 3 videos on the Power Plus throttle controller. Like I said, it's a good add-on for me.
So I assume by the thumbs up, you are happy with that answer. Do you have anything on follow-up, or can we move on to the next question?
I'm happy with that, thanks.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Richie's got a question in the chat. He says, in your opinion, what are the must-have accessories?
Okay. What I normally tell the guys is you must have a use case for your Jimny. If you bought the Jimny just as a city runaround, I'm sad for you, because that Jimny was built to go off-road. Its main purpose is off-road use, and it's a decent all-round car if you use it off-road. So main accessories I'd say that you need to start off with are radial cup protectors and rock sliders. That's a good start. And then as you encounter different terrains, different obstacles, that type of stuff, and you realize your car needs a bit of a lift, then you look at suspension. If you're planning an overlanding trip, the standard tires the Jimnys come out with are not really tough tires. You're going to sit with punctures, that type of stuff. And like I say, if you're just using it for normal city driving and a trail over the weekend, that's fine. But if you're planning a longer overland trip, Namibia, Northern Cape, all those gravel roads are quite bad and they're heavy on tires, then I'd suggest you add on tires. But as you encounter different use cases for your Jimny, you kit it accordingly. So from the start, I'd say add those radial cup protectors and rock sliders. If you're still new to 4x4 and you don't know your Jimny that well, it gives you that added protection if something goes wrong. So those are my 2 top ones I would add to the Jimny straight from the start.
I think that also brings about the opposite question. What would you not put on a Jimny?
Yeah, the guys go to the Suzuki dealers, and you know, the Suzuki dealer, that guy is there to sell to you. So he's going to try and sell nudge bars to you and those side skirts that are chrome and all that stuff. The most useful thing I got from Suzuki was the rubber mats that go into the footwells in the front, and then the big rubber mat at the back. That one I would say you can buy from Suzuki. And then those rubber side strips on the side. Those are also quite nice. They had a good price point. But for all the rest of the accessories, I would go to, your aftermarket places like Dassault, Opposite Lock, and those guys. They've got good equipment that, Dassault develops everything locally in South Africa, which is good. And they do good designs on their rock sliders, radial cups, that type of stuff. The one big thing I will never put on my Jimny is a steel bumper. Steel bumper adds so much weight to the front of your car. You're going to have issues with the nose dipping under hard braking, all that stuff, because you're adding a lot of weight right at the front of your car. And, with all the 4x4 trails we did thus far, some of them really terror trails in South Africa, that plastic bumper hasn't skipped a beat. I haven't damaged it on anything. And if you're careful, it works great. I think the design of that front bumper is amazing. If you want to fit spotlights, stuff like that, you can do it on the plastic bumper. If you want to fit a winch, it can be done on the plastic bumper. You don't need to fit that extra weight of a steel bumper in front of the Jimny. So those are the ones that I would avoid as far as possible. I know a lot of guys, if they do overlanding on their own, which is not really recommended, they want to put in a winch. But, driving Jimnys for the past 10 years in competition and on normal overlanding trips, all that stuff, we never needed a winch. If you've got two guys that can help you, you mostly push it out of an obstacle if it gets stuck somewhere.
Great stuff. Richie, I see you've got a question.
Yeah, thank you. I think just to follow up on the tires.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of talk about, wider tires not necessarily going to give you that much benefit. There's a lot of research coming out that the thinner tire actually, puts down a lot more traction. I think I have fitted the Dassault rock sliders, which I've used being a new driver. So I'm just thinking, you lose a little bit of ground clearance when you put that rock slider on. Is there a way that we could use a taller tire that kind of has the same profile? There are options like that we could look at, that would give us a little bit of the clearance back, but then I don't want to widen the profile. Yeah.
The go-to tire size for me is a 215/75 R15. It basically gives you the same clearance as the normal tire, but it is a bit wider. Why I go for this size tire is because it's easy to get your hands on them. Smaller size tires are really hard to get hold of currently in South Africa. You can also look at a 215/80 R15 that gives you a bit more ground clearance. So, which is a good option, but it does affect your acceleration and consumption a bit. If you've got a bit of a headwind coming from the front, you're going to feel it. You're going to gear back to fourth to get that going. Where I realized with the 215/75, yes, you don't have that ground clearance, but with a bit of experience and a bit of off-road training, you get through the big tracks. You saw, I've got the 215/75 R15 BFs on, all-terrain, and, I could keep up with the big guys in the Hummer H3s at Mugatle, which is one of the toughest trails around. And I think adjusting your driving style and getting a bit more experienced off-road will help you out with that without the loss of power and consumption that you're going to run into with bigger tires.
Great stuff. Priscilla, I see you've got a hand up.
Yes, it's Patricia.
Patricia, sorry.
No, that's fine. I've got the 215/75 tires as well and the 50mm lift. I just want to know on tire pressure, if I'm on the normal tar road, do I, because I know in the door it says 1.8 all around. Is it the same tire pressure as your standard tires, or should you
Yeah. What brand
change
of
it?
tire did you put on?
I've got the Wranglers.
The Wranglers. Okay.
Or the
So
Grablers or what?
yeah, general grabbers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay, that's a really good tire. A lot of Jimny guys go for that option. For me, I adjust tire pressure. It's between 1.8 and 2 bar for normal tar road driving. And then as soon as I get onto a gravel road, I deflate to about 0.8. I know a lot of people say this is really low, and it's because everybody drives bigger buckies and all that stuff. So never listen to the double cab guys when it comes to tire pressure or on 4x4 obstacles, because we approach things totally different in the Jimny. Because it's a very light car with a short wheelbase, it's totally different for us. So I'd say for tar road, 1.8 to 2 bar, play around with it, find out what makes it feel comfortable for you. Then on gravel roads, I deflate depending on the load as well. So if I've got a heavy load, I'll just deflate to about 1 bar. If I don't have a lot of load, I deflate to 0.8. It makes the ride much more comfortable on gravel. And, you know, those tires are designed to run lower tire pressures. Then for 4x4 obstacles, I also use 0.8. And then for thick sand, I go as low as 0.6 to 0.4 bar on sandy roads.
Thank you very
Sean.
much.
Excellent. Sean, your question.
Cool. Thank you. So yeah, I also took delivery of my new Jimny on Friday. So did my brother-in-law Doe. We actually traded both our Rangers in for Jimnys on the same day. So that's quite cool.
That's
Awesome. You
lekker.
guys upgraded, eh?
I hope so. I hope so. Listen, I've just got a brief question that ties into what's been asked already. The rock sliders and the radial cup protectors, would you suggest, could you fit that yourself, or should we take it to a fitment center to actually get installed? And if it's the latter, do you guys perhaps know of somebody in the Gauteng or Pretoria area that's in a position to do that properly?
Yeah. My go-to guy for all my fitments is Armand Skaap. He's from Weka Center Centurion. He's also opposite lock dealer, and he also does fitments on the Sol equipment. So the main thing is rock sliders you'll be able to fit on your own. The problem with the radial cups is you need to torque those bolts. So you've torqued them the first time, then you drive for about a week, and then they need to be retorqued again to make sure that you don't have any movement on your radial cups and stuff like that. I'd say on most of this, guys, it's like I told you with the camera video as well, the reverse camera video. If you do the fitment at home and something goes wrong or something breaks, you're responsible for it. If you pay that 1,200 Rand extra for fitment, those guys carry all the risk if something goes wrong. And if they damage your car, they need to repair it at their costs. When, as you do it at home, you're going to carry that cost on your own. So it's like I said, with the radial cups, those bolts, if they're not torqued correctly, they do tend to come loose. And what Armand normally does is he tells you, come and see me in a week, quickly park the car in the parking lot. He sends one of his guys to get torqued to the right specification, and you know everything is going to work okay for you.
And when you arrive, please tell him Raymond sent you.
I will definitely do that.
Yeah, so he's located. Yeah, he's located in Centurion. You know what? I take, it's a bit of a drive for me because I'm in Pretoria North area, and so I need to drive 30 k's to go and see Armand. But really, he's a good guy, and you get good service from him and his team. So make use of him. Very knowledgeable as well. He drove 4x4 competitions with us. He's actually a Jeep guy, but the Jimny is so close to the Jeeps.
And, you know, if he gets stuck somewhere, he normally gives me a call and I tell him, Armand, I think this is the way to go with this. This has worked for me before and we've got a really good relationship. So I trust him 100%.
Okay, so we've got a couple of questions in the chat. I'm going to start with Doze. He says, what's your opinion on the engine heat shield? Will it make a noticeable reduction in engine noise?
No, that aluminium heat shield that you fit to the bonnet, and it doesn't make a huge difference in engine noise or anything like that. The best thing to do for engine noise is to actually put in sound dampening material in the doors, underneath the carpets, in the floor wells, and then over the gearbox, and that gives you the biggest one. You know what? I haven't had a lot of issues with engine noise. I turn up the radio a bit louder, and that's it for me. But you guys coming out of Rangers, really soft roaders that just stick to the roads, it's a car. You're driving a true 4x4 now.
Okay, great stuff. I've got a question from Paul. Has anyone got any experience with a new Dassault long-range fuel tank?
I've had a look at the Long Ranger available from Opposite Lock, and I had a look at the long range tank from Dassault as well. I think they're both really nicely designed tanks. You get like 76 liters or 78 liters out of both of them. They call them 80 liters, but they're not truly 80 liters. My main concern is I'm doing a lot of 4x4 trails that are a bit rough. And what I realized with both of these tanks, they sit quite low on the bottom of your car. And that's exposed to rocks and stuff like that. So if you're purely going to use your car for overlanding, gravel roads, bit of sand travel, that type of stuff, the long range tanks will work for you. The Opposite Lock one comes in from Australia. It's called the Long Ranger. It's a solid steel tank that the guys pressure test everything. Then the one from Dassault is it's a plastic composite tank with a extra steel guard at the bottom to protect against rocks and that type of stuff. Main thing you guys also need to keep in mind is your fuel gauge is not going to adjust to that 80-liter tank. The guys haven't cracked that yet. You need to go into the software of the car to do the adjustment on that. So it's going to show you your 420 kilometers range and shows you the tank is full till it gets past that extra 40 liters you've got and you're up to 40 liters again. Then only your gauge is going to start going down. So that's the gripes I've got with the long range tanks. And you know, with a bit of planning, I got away with most of my overlanding trips with 2 extra jerry cans. I know jerry cans on the roof rack makes your car a bit top heavy, but at the price you're paying, the Dassault one goes for 20,000 Rand. The Long Ranger one from Opposite Lock goes for 30,000 Rand. Now you can fill up a lot of jerry cans with a lot of fuel for that amount of money. Another thing I'm also looking at is the fuel bladders that they make available for bikes. I think that's a really good option for the Jimny, that you have fuel bladders in the car, or you can hang them off the sides of your roof rack. A lot of guys do that as well, but you need to check that they've got the little rubber feet on them that protects your car when you're driving over corrugated roads, that type of stuff, so it doesn't damage your body or the window it presses up against. But in my opinion, that's why I haven't fitted the Long Ranger tank yet. It's those issues that we still have with the tank sitting really low underneath the carriage of the car, and the fact that you can't actually see how much fuel you've got left till you may be in a situation where you're not close to somewhere to fill up to. So having loose carriers, if you the guys also have nice jerry cans that fit on the back of your tire. Main reason why I fit the front runner ladder on my car as well is
the option that I can put sand tracks onto that, or maybe 2 10-liter jerry cans that you can mount onto that ladder at the back. So first, rather use a jerry can or fuel storage than going for the long range tank. It's a big investment, and you can spend that money much better on a suspension or nice tires, that type of stuff, instead of going for that long range tank.
Okay, so Richie, you've got a two-part question. One of it was about the long-range fuel tank. So please feel free, once Raymond's answered the first part, if there's anything else you want to ask, please jump in. He says, talking about long-distance trips to Namibia, Botswana, etc., what gear is a must?
Oh, okay. For me, the top one is you're going to be doing a lot of travel on gravel roads. So having good tires, a good tough all-terrain tire that can take that punch. You're looking at least a 3-ply sidewall on that. You get it in all terrains and then in mud terrain tires, and that's just to keep you safe, because you know there's a lot of wires and crap basically lying over those roads, sharp rocks, and once you lost 2 tires, you're basically screwed. So having decent tires that can take the punch. That was my main reasoning putting the BF Goodridges on. They're the toughest tires around. Yes, they are crappy on wet roads. They're a bit slippy, but I haven't run into any problems. You know, I've had a few nails in the tire where I pulled out the nail and I didn't have a puncture. That shows you how tough they are. Then the next thing, a big thing, is a tire repair kit. Getting a decent tire repair kit with different valves and those extra plugs that you can push into the tire. If you run into a situation where you've got 2 punctures already, the one tire can be repaired in such a way that it can get you to the next town where you can get that tire professionally fixed with mushroom plugs, that type of stuff. And then recovery gear. It's not just to recover cars or everything, but I've used my recovery gear and tie down straps to fix a shock on my Gen 3 Jimny, that the shock mount actually broke loose, and I could use one of those straps to hold it in place till I got to a place where we could weld it back on, and we could go on with our journey.
When you're driving through grass, is there anything for the Jimnys that you can use to keep that out of your engine bay?
Yes. You can go to 4x4 Megaworld. Most of the 4x4 shops like Outdoor Warehouse, those guys have got grass nets that hooks onto the bottom of your bumper, and then you open up your engine bay and it hooks on the edge of your engine bay as well, and that just keeps the grass out of the radiator. We did a trip to the Kalahari in our Gen 3 without one of those, and I was standing there for days trying to get those little grass seeds out of the radiator. The big concern on that is if that grass accumulates and gets into your engine bay, it touches anything hot, your car goes up in flames. So even if you have that net on, keep on cleaning it out, because as soon as you have a collection of those grass seeds, it touches on your exhaust manifold. Anything that gets hot, there is a chance of getting a fire into your car. And once that starts, it doesn't stop. Get out of your car and watch it burn.
That's quite depressing. Sean's got a question. He says, can Armand fit the reverse camera as well? If yes, do I just purchase online and take it in for fitment?
Okay. So if you have the 7-inch screen, or the new ones has got the 10-inch screen in it, that's Android Auto and iPhone compatible. Unfortunately, the GA and the GL doesn't come out with that head unit. So if you've got a GLX, that Camera Farm Auto Tech shop is a plug and play. It plugs directly into the head unit, and you just need to wire it up through to the back. I'd say it's a nice to have. I don't use reverse cameras that often. I can still turn my back and see what's going at the back of my car, but it's a nice add-on.
I see Doe's got a question. He says, are there any known problematic components on the Jimny that we need to look out for?
Okay. I'd say the Gen 3s are covered quite well. The problems with the guys got on Gen 3s have been basically the exhaust manifold is a cast iron one, it cracks after a while. There have been a few recalls on the earlier models like mine. Mine was probably one of the first that came into South Africa, one of the first batches. So what they have done on mine thus far is there was a problem with the petrol pump in the tank that they fixed under warranty. Then I had also a recall on the door looms that do the central locking. So there was a problem on that loom. Suzuki replaced that for me. On the new ones, I haven't heard about any recalls or anything happening. You know what? It's like any other car. Suzuki is the most reliable brand for the last 4 years worldwide. You know, Suzuki is number one. After that, it's actually, I think Toyota came up third. Ford didn't even make the list at all because you guys replace turbos and diffs and gearboxes on a monthly basis. But on the Suzuki, really tough little cars, do your maintenance on it. It's got a service plan with Suzuki, utilize that. It's got a 5-year warranty on it, use that. Mine has got more than 60,000 kilometers on, and it's not been an easy 60,000 for it. And I haven't run into any mechanical problems on it. Even electronics, no problems with that. So overall, very little reliable car. It's a hard worker. It's a high revving engine. So the only thing I'm going to do is mine is out of its service plan now. So instead of servicing my car for every 15,000, I'm going to change that to 10,000 and do an oil filter, air filter, and oils on that, and then do major services when we need to. But like I said, it doesn't have a cam belt. It's got a cam chain. So not a lot that can go wrong with that engine. And Suzuki's are really, really reliable little cars, and you can drive them hard. They take it. You don't have to nurse it, but look after it. You know, normal mechanical stuff. Check the oils regularly. Check your water levels, brake fluid levels, all that type of stuff. It's really good. I haven't encountered any problems, and you know, we're part of a big Suzuki community, and the guys normally post as soon as they run into trouble with something. But I'd say 99% of the time, it's guys going to drive through muddy water, they lose wheel bearings. It's really, you mistreat the car and then it causes a fault somewhere. Like I said, if you drive through to the vault, you see the other guys driving through that mud, within 2 weeks, he's going to have repairs on that car because that screws up your alternator, your starter, all the bearings, all that type of stuff. So rather stay out of that. I know it makes nice Instagram pictures and all that stuff, but stay out of it. It's going to cost you a lot less.
Roman, just one thing, you know, that little wiring at the back that the guys got the cover for, because I know that tends to go, and that's now a very minor thing, but you can actually protect that.
Yeah. So especially with guys doing heavy packing in their Jimnys for overlanding trip, you have those small 2 wires at the back that does the defroster for that window. Those are exposed. You can actually get 2 little small plastic covers from them from Jimny Wild. Guy is a reputable shop, and he's got small little accessories that don't cost a lot of money but add a lot of value, like those 2 covers for the demisters. And the other one I enjoy is that small little tray that you put right in front on top of your instrument cluster. That's nice storage place. It can take your phone. It's got an actual holder for your phone there. And I like to put my keys and anything I don't want to lose on a 4x4 trip, I put in that little box that it gets there. You also get one extra storage for down at the gears. Just another little bit of a storage box. I didn't go for that one because
I didn't find a use for something like that yet. But like I said, the protectors for the defogger at the back, those are great. And then that one over the instrument cluster is also a good one to have.
Okay, so there's a question from Richie. He says, you mentioned that you can add jerry cans onto the ladder. Is it available from Frontrunner?
I don't think Frontrunner has got those. It's the type of jerry cans that they normally put on the Jeeps. So it's got a mounting spot in the middle of the jerry can. So it's basically got a hole in it. And then you can just make a little bracket that fits onto that ladder where you can tighten it up. Especially in South Africa, look at a solution that you can lock it up as well. So there are a few 4x4 fitment centers that can help you out with that. Have a chat with Armand from Weka Center. He'll probably be able to get you a mount like that or make you one. But if you're a handy guy at home, you can build that yourself. You just need to get those. It's like a PAX, if I remember correctly. It's a PAX jerry can. And it's got the little hole in the center that might create your mounting point at the back there.
Okay, so the next question is, seat covers seem to be quite expensive. Is there a value for money option?
You know, with seat covers, this is a thing you use every day. And they are expensive. But my go-to that all my 4x4s had in was Takla. I know you pay a premium for them, but they're really tough. They're washable. It's a really good fit. There are a lot of guys around. The Beersdam seat covers looks great with the extra leather inserts they've got on the side. That's nice. Sorry. So for me, it's getting something that's durable and it's going to last you long. Spend a bit more money now. Instead of buying seat covers that only last you 2 years, then you need to buy a next set. By the time you buy that next set, you know, you're already on the same money you would have spent on a decent seat cover from the start. I don't like the cotton canvas ones like Melvin and Moon and those guys. My main reason is they start looking tatty quite soon. And after you put them through the first wash, the color starts fading, that type of stuff. They are good seat covers. They protect your seat. What I like about the Takla ones, it's a synthetic canvas that they use, and they Scotch guard that. So that's 100% waterproof. I think I had my seat covers in for a day, and I spilled a whole 500 ml Coke on it, and I could just wipe it off, and it didn't get through to my seats or anything like that. And the nice thing is, Takla has got different ranges. So you've got the padded ones, they cost you a bit more with the diamond stitching in. They're fully customizable, they're willing to put in embroidery for you, all that type of stuff. So like I said, rather spend a bit more money on a seat cover, and you know it's going to last you a long while. Mine have been in my car for almost 4 years now. And they're due for a wash, by the way, now. So I need to take them off and you can give them a wash, and then we'll put them back.
And what was really nice is the Takla has amazing storage. So all the little bits and pieces, lip ice, a headache tablet, you know, phones, you can pop everything into their storage, which is really, really great. Yeah. So that's what I like about those. Patricia.
Yes, I just wanted to know about the seat covers. Does it not restrict the airbag on the front seats?
Your airbags are not located in your seats. They're basically on the panels of the car. So you've got an airbag in the front steering wheel, you've got a curtain airbag on the side, and then on the passenger side, just in front of that, the Australians call it the Jesus bar, that you've got an airbag there, and then on the side curtain as well. So your airbags are not located in the seats themselves. So no problems on that side.
Thanks a lot.
Great stuff. So
Pleasure.
Richie's got a question. He says, those hooks or attachment points you buy from the back for the back when the seats are down, quite expensive from the dealer, best alternative option?
Yes, that's an easy one. So the normal bolts they put in there is an M10 bolt. And the guys go to a hardware store, you get those little ring nuts. So it's got the ring on the side and then the bolt on this side. As long as that bolt is an M10 bolt, you can screw them in. You can also have a look at Jimny Wild. They make those available where the ring is actually folded down. So only when you use it, you can pick it up. The ones I've gotten is actually from a friend of mine that 3D printed them for me out of carbon fiber. And those were great for me. So anything with the M10 bolt on the other side, go to the hardware store, shop around a bit, see if they've got those little hooks on the end. And if you get the ones with foldable hooks, those are going to be the best one, because then you don't have bolts standing out on the side, taking up extra space and scratching all the fridges and stuff you put at the back that cost a lot of money.
Awesome. Any other questions, folks?
Go.
Oh.
Yeah, thanks. I actually wanted to ask, in your experience, or have you had any issues with warranties in terms of adding aftermarket components, like doing your suspension or adding snorkels and things? Because yeah, coming from Ford, I'm a bit skeptical. They like to cancel your warranty if you add a spotlight. So yeah, what has your experience been?
So though having a good relationship with your local Suzuki dealership works great. I've got a good relationship with the guys at Hatfield. So I buy my cars from them, I service with them, so I build up a good relationship with them. So when you add a suspension, your Suzuki warranty on the suspension will be void, because you don't have any Suzuki components anymore with that suspension swap you did. But what the aftermarket suspension does is these guys give you between a 80,000 or 100,000 3-year warranty on that suspension. So instead of Suzuki covering that suspension warranty, then it's going to be your supplier of your suspension that does that for you. Adding spotlights might have an effect on it, because you are connecting to the car's wiring. And if you do that wiring wrong, it can cause damage. So that's again why I say go to qualified guys. What I normally do is I try and stay away from touching the Suzuki wiring when I put on spotlights or light bars or stuff like that. And we go straight to the battery, and then we add an extra switch on it, so that we don't screw around too much with the Suzuki wiring. Adding a snorkel doesn't have an effect on your warranty, except on your rust warranty. So you have a 5-year rust warranty, because you're cutting into the side of that panel. You are exposing it to potential rust if the guys don't do a good install for you. What Armand did for me is they normally cut it in, and then they put a bit of primer on it to protect it as it goes through that body panel. And then engine warranty, it doesn't affect that at all, because you're just connecting to the pipe that goes into your air intake. So you're adding a little bit of pipe there. It doesn't affect your warranty at all on that. Then if the guys go for bigger tires, like the 235s, especially on a manual, the dealerships are very difficult about that, because it burns the clutch quite easily. With the Suzuki not being, it's not a good rock crawler. The guys have to ride on the clutch a bit, and that can cause the clutch to fail a bit earlier. That's the issue that some of the guys had, but I understand it from Suzuki's point of view as well. So if you're not interfering and changing what Suzuki did, especially with wiring, I try and stay as far as possible away from Suzuki wiring, because that affects your ECU, your engine, all that stuff. If you add exhaust system while your car is still under warranty, that affects your engine. You can't go to Suzuki and say, my car has burnt valves now, because you put on a new exhaust manifold and a free flow exhaust to get a bit more power of your car. So what I do is
I try and keep my car as standard as possible for as long as possible while I'm in my service. While I'm still having services done at Suzuki. Now my car is done with Suzuki. I don't get services from them anymore. So I can start doing these things, but I know I'm still going to be the responsible party if something goes wrong if I do that.
Okay, there's a question from Sean.
Thank you. I just want to get your take on roof racks, right? I quite like the one that Dassault makes due to the rounding at the front. Although I know that they don't have significant amounts of accessories to fit to those as yet, their website says they're in process of developing some. But I've got a question that relates to the ladder a little bit more. So I noticed with the front runner one, it actually gets bolted onto the back door, whereas the Dassault one hooks on by the looks of it. What's your take on the differences between the two, and should we be sort of wary of the Dassault one that just hooks on? Thanks.
You know what? I have chats with the Dassault guys quite often, and they really do good designs. My main thing for front runner is you know, you can have a look at Easy On. They've got roof racks as well. There's a lot of guys doing roof racks. Roof racks, you have to check the weight. The weight is the biggest concern, and I felt a massive difference when I put on the full front runner roof rack. I could feel that instantly on my car. That's why I shortened mine recently, just to get rid of that extra weight. But if you need the full roof rack, my go-to is still front runner. They've got really good support. These guys have been designing roof racks for many, many years. I've got a good relationship with front runner as well, and the guys that work at front runner. The positive is, like I said, the extra accessories you get with the front runner. What I like about the front runner ladder is it actually hooks at the top, and it's got a side arm that goes to the spare wheel as well, where it connects to that, and then it uses one of the bottom hinges on the door as another mounting point. So that ladder is going nowhere. You can really put a bit of weight on it. My main thing was I wanted to use that ladder. I don't need the ladder. I can stand next to the car and pack my whole roof rack. I'm tall enough for that. But the ladder, like I said, I wanted to use that as an extra mounting point for extra sand tracks or jerry cans, that type of stuff. So in my opinion, yes, front runner is still the one to go for when it comes to roof racks. You pay a premium for it, but these guys have been in business for a long time, and you know, you don't get any wind noise from extra wind noise from that. The Dassault one, I haven't seen one up close yet. I haven't seen anybody fitted with the Dassault roof rack that I can have a look at it. The other nice thing about the front runner is, you know, if you want to take the roof rack off, it's 6 bolts that you undo and it comes off. So quick and easy to put on and to take off, which is an extra bonus for me. I don't know if the Dassault is capable of doing that as well.
Great stuff. Doe, your question.
Yeah, thanks. While you're on the roof racks, do you have any idea what effect it has on your fuel consumption if you add, for instance, the front runner one? Because I got my Jimny with the rack already installed, so I can't really do the comparison unless I remove it.
On my Jimny, before I had the roof rack on, I just had the 215 tires installed, and I still got 14 kilometers per liter. As soon as I fitted that front runner roof rack, the full rack, it went down to 10. So it has a massive effect, and you can feel it in the handling of the car as well. Then I installed the throttle controller, and it brought my petrol consumption back to about 12 kilometers per liter with the full rack. And now currently with the half rack, the handling of my car is much better on highway speeds, all that stuff. It's a lot more stable because I basically have half the amount of weight of a full roof rack on my car now. So you need to really make the right call and say, are you going to use a full roof rack to its full potential? The nice thing is they are changeable. You can change it to suit your needs. So and I'd say the max weight you can load on top of that roof rack is about 40 kilograms.
As soon as you go over that, your car gets really wobbly, and no suspension, no extra wheel spaces, stuff like that is going to cure it. You need to keep the weight on the roof as low as possible. So I kept mine because, you know, you want to buy something from Macro, like a big screen TV or something like that. It doesn't fit in the car. So my roof rack is still big enough that I can fit it on there and tie it off, without the negative effect that it has on consumption and performance. With that full roof rack, if you drive through the Northern Cape, Lichtenburg, those areas where the wind is constantly blowing, you're going to feel that. Even side winds. With my shortened rack now, side winds don't affect me, front winds don't affect me. I think that was a really smart decision. It did cost me a bit of money because I paid for the full rack. But like you said, between you two guys that swapped in your Rangers, maybe buy a full rack and cut it in two. That's going to work you out cheaper than you have a half rack for each one's car.
Sean's got a very interesting question coming back to that. How does the weight distribution work when you load that half rack?
The Jimny is very light at the back. It's really light. I realized that on a few 4x4 trips that we did, where I went down a sharp decline, and as soon as my front wheels hit the bottom, my back actually lifted up and the wheels came off the ground. That's how big that incline was. So having extra load right at the back actually improves the handling, because it's really light at the back. It doesn't carry any heavy weight at the back. And then also when you look at how the wind flows over the gym, it's a small little Lego block. It doesn't have very much aerodynamics. But if you look at the aerodynamics of the car without the roof rack on, you always get a big gap right at the back where the airflow actually makes a pocket. So having that right at the back, you don't have a lot of wind force that influences your performance from the front, because it's in that little bubble right at the back.
And now that we're talking about Jimnys being light, please remember Jimnys can float, okay? Don't try this at home, kids. It's dangerous. Okay, I don't see any other questions, and I don't see any other. Okay, wait. I've got Patricia.
Yes.
I just want to ask a quick last question on the jack, the standard jack. With my 50mm lift, will that be sufficient to change the tires, or do I need a bottle jack or something else?
Okay, so main thing you need to remember is having a good foot piece for your jack. When you get into muddy conditions, sandy conditions, that jack just pushes into the ground. That scissor jack is 100% for your Jimny. The trick is you put it right underneath the shock of the wheel you want to lift up. As soon as you put that underneath the shock, it's about 6-7 turns and your wheel is off the ground. No need for a bottle jack on that one. But having a nice foot piece for that jack to stand on is a good idea.
Okay, thanks.
Pleasure.
I think that's that, Mr. Martin.
Okay, so if you guys don't have any other questions, like I said, we're going to load this one on YouTube. If you remember something after the fact, you can type it into the comments. I'll try and answer you as far as I can. And thank you very much for joining us. I think this was a good first session we had, and we're going to see how this goes. We're going to be loading this on YouTube, like I said. We're also going to do a podcast with your questions for new Jimny drivers, and we see how the video performs, and we'll maybe do a session like this once every month, where we can get guys with their new Jimnys, just getting the right information out there. We're trying to save you money. We're trying to help you. We don't normally promote accessories, except if I've paid for it myself and I've got good use out of them, that I suggest them to you guys. So I don't take stuff from sponsors that I don't want on my car, and I'm not gonna tell you that something is great if it's not. That's the deal that I have with guys giving me stuff asking me to try it out as well. They know from the start, if I'm not happy with that product, I'm going to mention it. Okay.
Please
So-
remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Please remember to look out for our Facebook. Every now and again, we go on social drives and we say, everybody come out and join us. So please make sure that you don't miss out on that information.
Thank you very much, Anel. And everybody, thanks again for joining us. Check out the YouTube video. And like I said, any other questions, we're there on the comments as well. We are available on Facebook as well. And we've got a website if you want to go and have a look what we've got going on our website as well. And as always, just Jimny on. Thanks a lot for joining us.